Good to see everybody. Thanks for staying up late, past your bedtime here. That's the beauty of being on Central Time, I guess. So, real quick, just want to talk about the night we had. Really, an exciting night for the organization. We added three good players to the defense at all three levels, and the defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a safety. I think each one of them is a schematic fit for us and what we want to do. And then on top of that, we were able to add a future third round pick next year. So I think a very productive night, and then looking forward to having another good day tomorrow. And with that, I will take any questions.
Tom Withers, fire away.
Kevin, thanks. The TV commentators were saying you need a new chair. Is your back okay?
My back's fine. Luckily, I have those guys on mute. But as you can imagine, we're well into we got. If I turn this around, or if I took this virtual background off, you'd see lots of boxes in this house. So
I
I'm
bet.
mid move. So I apologize if I don't have all the decor like some others do.
Hey, so you were saying there is a schematic fit for all of these guys, but is there also a common thread in these four? Obviously, four with SEC pedigree, but beyond that,
Yeah, we didn't. I could tell you we didn't go into this saying let's only draft SEC players. Now, if you're only going to draft from one league, it probably would make sense to draft from that league. But yeah, it just is how it shook out. And then we're always looking high, high and low. We'll find a good player wherever they may be. So we certainly don't make that a huge part of our evaluation. I can tell you though, when you are watching these guys, the lights are bright in that conference, and to see the guys perform uh, under those type of elements certainly doesn't hurt in the evaluation.
thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Nate, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, could you just elaborate a little bit about the scheme fits of each guy? What did you like about each guy and how they fit you?
Yeah, with Grant, there's a versatility to his game. You saw him play every job in the back end except corner. So he can be in the post, he can be down low, he can play nickel, he can play dime. So a guy that can play across the defense was impressive. He's certainly a playmaker, and something we'll stress is the making plays on the ball, and that's something that's shown up in his career with my man Elliott out of Missouri. The quickness. It's a big thing for our defensive line in terms of getting off the ball, and that's something that I think he has, and something that needs to be developed. I think I should mention with each one of these guys, none of them are finished products. Even like we talked about Jedrick from the first round. So something that we can definitely work with, but quickness and getting off the ball, I think, was impressive. And we want to play multiple guys along that front. So I think that's where he gives us depth in that regard. And then with Jacob Phillips, really like the length, the speed, the ability to play in this system. Those linebackers have to run. You see him running in that system that he played in down there at LSU. You see him running sideline to sideline, going to make great tackles, just with high effort, a high motor guy. He just turned 21 earlier this month, so another young player that we feel like we can develop.
Thanks, Nate. Mary Kay, you're up.
Hey, Coach, did you have to kind of take off your offensive coach hat a little bit and let some of the offensive skill guys, go by the wayside and remember that, you're overseeing the whole thing now and get really excited about all the defensive guys you've added?
Yeah, I don't need that reminder, Mary Kay, but I am the head coach. I don't want to be ever accused of being the offensive head coach. So certainly we wanted to add good players to our team, and it so happened that it was three players on the defense tonight. And I feel really good about adding those three players. So that was something that was important to us. And I can promise you, just the coaches were very excited throughout this draft, trying to keep everybody abreast of what we're doing via text message or whatever. And it was pretty cool to see the excitement with some of the guys we were able to add.
Quick follow on that, and that is, this is supposed to be a really deep wide receiver class, do you still feel like if you need to add a wide receiver, you can probably even find a key contributor in a later round?
Yeah, I think we feel like that across the board. Honestly, if you look at our board and kind of work across left to right, you see players that you feel pretty confident in that have a chance in the third day of the draft to be a contributor. Some of those guys may contribute on special teams and then develop into a player, a starter down the road. But certainly, we see depth at a bunch of different positions.
Scott Petrick, take it away.
Hey, Kevin. With Grant, we talked to him and he was really bold. I mean, he's funny, but he's talking about having the best secondary in the NFL right away. And I'm just wondering how you perceive a guy with that kind of swagger right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you want some bravado, especially in that back end when you're the last line of defense. Corners and and safeties and DBs typically are the guys that bring some energy. But I can promise you, our team in general won't be about talking. We'll be about being about it. So that will be something that I promise you we'll talk about as a team. But I don't mind guys that have a ton of confidence. I think you need to bring tough confidence when you're playing in the back end.
And when you were watching film of him, did you see a big difference between 18 and 19? We talked about the high ankle that really bugged him this year.
Yeah, I think when you're doing your homework, and our scouts do an outstanding job at this. It's really never about 1 year. So our scouts have done their work on them when they were sophomores, sometimes freshmen, and then they check them out when they're the junior year. So that evaluation is really across years. So it's always something that we're thinking about, and there's always uh, circumstances with every player that whether they played good 1 year, bad 1 year, great 1 year, there's always reasons, and that's our job to sift through all of those.
Thanks.
Marla?
Yeah, Coach, you called Elliott my man. What do you like about him? And has he impressed you with kind of how he's grown up here maybe in the last year or so?
Can you explain Shoe Fiend first?
Well, when I signed up for this, I thought I was just going to be talking to my girlfriends on this thing. I didn't know it was going to be a work. Plus, I mean, there was worried about hacking back, when this first came out. So, no, but just Elliott seems like he's lost 30 pounds. He's kind of coming into his own. But you called him your man. I just wondered what was what was
the type of guy you identify in a draft. You want to get your hands on these guys. You want to develop these guys. You see a skill set, and I'm excited to see this kid work with Chris Kiffin and our coaches. I see a physical skill set. I see a good guy, a good person, a guy that I think fits the mentality of what we want to be. So I'm just excited about adding a physical player, a disruptive player, and then see if adding him to our scheme, maybe adjusting certain things about how he plays. I'm just excited about what that future may hold for him.
When he loses 30 pounds, like in a year and a half or whatever, what does that say about him?
He's a disciplined eater.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Daryl, you're up.
Kevin, I want to ask you about your linebackers. You add, Jacob Phillips to that group. It's a rather young group. I know you brought BJ in as a free agent on a 1-year deal, but it's such a very important position in the middle of that defense there. Just your take on the youth there and your expectation.
Yeah, I think the youth is a good thing. It's a hungry group. And we're going to roll a bunch of guys out there and see what we got. Once we get our hands on these guys and age obviously is matters. And then you think about how young Mac was last year. So you're always looking for these guys to progress. And once we get our hands on them, we'll see where they are. But I think it's a really intriguing group. I think Jason Tarver and Ben Bloom and Joe Woods have some guys to work with. And I think the nice part is while they may be young, I really think there's a bunch of guys that understand that I really think there's some guys that understand there's a ton of work that needs to go into this. And I think they're ready for that. But the youth doesn't really bother me so much. as just getting our hands on them and starting to develop them, these guys.
Next up, Tony Grossi.
Hey, Kevin, now that it's official and Joe Burrow is in the division and the MVP is in the division, Lamar Jackson, and the other quarterback's 19-2 in his career against the Browns, just your feeling mostly about the two young quarterbacks, about starting your head coaching career in a division with two of the bright stars to be in this league for a while at quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's a great division. It's a historic division. I watched the tape of these games, and I can't wait to feel what that I can't wait to hear what it sounds like in these stadiums. So I'm excited about it. There's no easy out in the NFL. These divisions are just loaded. And I came from one that I thought was pretty stacked, and we're walking into one that I think is pretty stacked. So it's great competition. I think our guys will rise to that competition, but it's certainly something that we're looking forward to.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tony. I think we'll close it out with Dan Lobby.
All right. Kevin, I'm just curious, when the front office makes some decisions, when Andrew and Paul make decisions to trade down, are you involved in those decisions, or do you kind of just sit back and watch and kind of see what they're trying to cook up?
Yeah, I would say we're all involved, Dan. It's we have this Zoom setup or whatever it is, WebEx. So we're all in the room remotely together. So all those conversations are ongoing, and it's collaborative. So certainly I feel a part of it, and I know there's a bunch of others that would say the same thing. But at the end of the day, we also know that AB has to make a decision, and we all chime in and give him our best thought, and then we trust the direction he takes us.